So good evening, everybody. If I am taking anything from Noah's speech is when you're an S, try not to present after a high D. So I will try to follow the energy, but if Noah spoke about the soft skills and about people, I'm going to speak more as a high S. I'm going to speak more about what a presentation should include. And especially when we are not so sure in advance when we prepare it, who is going to listen to it? If it's going to be a high D, a high S, or a C. So I'm going to speak a little bit about some myths that, when we speak about presentations or investor pitch decks, there's so many names, and I'll address it in a little bit. So just a couple of words about me. I'm a presentation expert. It took me I'm over 30 years in presenting many projects I had to manage. So I got quite experienced with it. As a business consultant, I'm part of the Israeli Business Consultants Association. I am a member of the Presentation Guild. That's an international association for presentation experts. And I'm part of GVI's team, which is a great opportunity. And thank you, Kobe, for giving me this opportunity. Now, this webinar, this lecture is going to be about 35 minutes. Usually, I give some time for questions. I'm not so sure if we can have them today, but I encourage you, if you have any questions, just put them in the WhatsApp group, in the GBI group, and I'll try to answer as many as I can. So let's dig in. Investor presentations, what are they? Like I said, there is so many ways to address them. It can be a pitch deck, and it can be a presentation, a business plan, one-pager. All those startups are getting so confused with everything they hear about. So I've tried to make a little bit of order in it. The deck, presentation, the real difference, in my opinion, is that a pitch is the whole thing. When you're speaking, when you're talking to the presenter, when you're a part of the presentation, the business presentation is a little bit more something you are sending, the thing is behind you. It's part of the pitch. It's not all the pitch, and vice versa. The presentation will have things you don't say in your pitch. The pitch will have some things that are not in the presentation. The whole thing, this is what you really need when you are in contact with investors. So we have the pitch deck, we have the presentation. A lot of people say, oh, yes, I have a business plan. And others say, yeah, we have one-pagers, we have business presentation, executive summaries. They're all good things, but not what we expect when we start meeting with investors. Some of them are part of, I will address the issue of one-pager toward the end, but all these things are parts of one big thing. A lot of these materials or these types of addressing investors, they depend on the stage. Whom, where are all the investors or investment opportunities the same? And again, I will say that it depends on the stage of the startups. We have, all those stages. I don't need to elaborate too much here, but a pre-seed or seed presentation will not be the same as a round B presentation or a round A even. And same when we talk to different investors. If they are professional investors, we'll address in one way, and if they're angels or VCs in other ways. And obviously, if we are looking for a strategic partner, it's the difference will usually be in what we offer, what is our value proposition. It is different to each type of investors. Another thing that might influence the type of presentation or the type of materials we are going to approach our investors is how we're going to meet them. Are we going to meet them face-to-face? Like Kobe says, many times we have 7 minutes, but 7 minutes when we are pitching, we are the issue, we are the main event. But many other times we just need to find somebody to give us the first meeting with an investor, or to assess, like we are doing many times when we assess those startups. Are they qualified, not qualified? Are they qualified to meet investors? So yes, we also need to know how we are going to meet the presenters. And obviously, we should have most of the types of material ready before we start meeting presenters. Now let's go to the main, the main event here, which is a lot of myths. I think I'm in this business for over 7 years, and I've read so many articles and so many books and so many who are suggesting what needs to be done. Should we have them? Should we not? So let's start with some do's and don'ts that are very typical in our world. You see, this is an article I read, the 17 biggest mistakes startups take when they address investors. So some of them might be very correct. And one of them, like having a company overview slide at the beginning. Well, really, if we only have 7 minutes to address our investors, I'm not so sure if we need to summarize, or making a pitch deck more than 15 or 20 slides. Oh, no, no, no. We never have that much time unless, and again, if you remember when I spoke before about round B, round A, VCs, yes, then we might have more than 15 slides, less than 15, but make it, I will say after it what should be there, but it doesn't matter if it's 8 slides or 12 slides. Don't make it too long. Most investors, I would say, and Noah, correct me, I would say that they're usually high Ds, high S, not really too much attention to long presentations. Again, a mistake, not showing your technology, intellectual property, what we call IP or patent. I'm not so sure that all startups need to have IPs, not in the early stages, might have them later. Do they need them? Do they don't? That shouldn't really be an issue when you start contacting investors. If you have an IP, that's great. But if you don't, it doesn't mean that they will not listen to you or won't invest in your venture. Do and don't do. So let's see some do's, things they say you should do. The one I like to include visually interesting graphics and images. So many times I see presentations, nice images, nice pictures, but they are not relevant whatsoever to the product, to the service you're offering. So no, make it clear, bring things that enhance the understanding of your venture, not just pretty images. In general, if I have to say something, I think that a white presentation with the right messaging, with the right typography, which means where we're going to have bold fonts, where we're going to have some highlights, can do a better job than a beautiful presentation that, the text is so small that you can hardly see it, or it's a lot of text that nobody has a chance to read. Another issue, plan to have a demo of your product as part of the in-person presentation. If you have a short demo and if it's very on the spot, yes. But if it's something like 2.5 minutes, and you still need to tell a lot of stuff about the venture in general and not just the product, I am not so sure that is the best idea. Your outcome or your best outcome of a meeting, of the first meeting, would be if somebody, maybe a C-type or maybe the D-type, will say, something, let's meet, I want to see a demo. Yeah, then it's all about the demo. But as the first speech or the first meeting, I'm not so sure. Again, it's not, I never say do don'ts. I'm just asking some questions and say, don't always take everything for granted. It's not always true. Everybody should have something that fits their own stage and their own venture. Tell a compelling, memorable, and interesting story that shows your passion for the business. It is always true whenever you talk to people. But the story behind, we met 15 years ago and we connected and we really think about doing something together and this is our passion, we wanted to work together, and there goes a minute and a half in telling some story. I'm not so sure it's the right time. The story should be the venture, and very important, I think Noah said it and Kobe said it, we always talk about storytelling. Storytelling is all about the hero. The only problem is that most people, most speakers think that they are the hero. No, the investors are the hero. The listings are the hero. You can always need to think and look through their eyes, what they're going to hear, what they're going to relate to, what is interesting for them, not for us. When you show that you have more than just an idea, got an early traction, again, many of the startups we meet don't have any traction yet. They're just in the ideation stage. And that's fine to get some investors. If you have traction, if you already have clients, wow, sure, show that. But it doesn't need to, it's not necessary if you are in a pre-seed or seed stage. Showing how you're going to get to this customer is very important, and I'll elaborate a little bit more about it later on. So don't do's again, don't make pitches too. Oh, I'm sorry, I've been here before. Let's just go. Don't use a lot of jargon and acronyms. That's always true. You know, when I hear all these people saying MVP and POC and SAM and TAM and a lot of jargons that not everybody understands. If you're talking to a professional investor, by all means use them. But sometimes you will talk to an angel, somebody who's not that familiar in that specific area that your venture works. So try to at least write the words or at least say the words. If it's a POC, it's a proof of concept. If you wrote POC, say proof of concept. Same with MVP. You know, for many of us, MVP is the most valuable player in basketball, you know, whoever follows NBA. But MVP, when it comes to us, it's a minimal viable program. Product. So go ahead and say it. Another issue here, don't have poor layout, bad graphics. Obviously, I'm sorry. That's the basic. Myths that are not just to the presentation itself, but about the general things behind the presentation. Many years ago, people say it's all about the product. You know, you just had a great idea and immediately you had a lot of investors hopping on your venture. Later on, it became, it's all about the team. The product is not important. If the team is good, investors like to invest in good teams. Now, both of them are still correct. It's not that somebody will invest if you don't have a good idea, a good product, or if the team is not very good. But there are some other things to take into consideration. And nowadays, it's all about the opportunity. Why your product is going to be, is the right thing for the market right now. Many times, there were great ideas and even very good teams, but their product was premature, that technology wasn't ready yet. You know, all those things with VR and AR, when you needed these big glasses and boxes in order to see something, the market is not ready yet. So maybe it's a bit too early. Sometimes it's a bit too late. How many times, Kobe, do we hear, oh, it's like Facebook, or it's like Uber, or it's like something else? Well, if we already have them, are we sure that we're not a bit too late? Maybe we have too many competitors and we already have competition. What's special in us? So yes, please think about the opportunity. Another very important thing, and that's again, it's true about any contact between human beings. It's not nice to say it, maybe. People don't like to be very egotistic, but what's in it for me? And when I say what's in it for me, we have dual thinking. One is for the end user, the customers. What's the value proposition we give them? It's very important in order to prove or to show our investors that our product is going to sell. People need it. But also don't forget for a moment what's in it for the investor. And we need to show the investor why it's good. Maybe the opportunity. Maybe we are just offering a product that can bring some more, to make his product larger, to bring him new markets. So always try to think, and it's not always you give me $1, I'll give you 110. Many times you give opportunity to start a new technology, to be part of a disruptive market, to be maybe part of a unicorn. So yeah, always think about that as well when you draft the presentation. Again, meets, must have slides. One of my favorite, this is a great book by the way. I do like things that Alejandro is writing. But you see, it has 17 must-have slides. And just a moment ago, I said that I'm not so sure that the investors, or in 7 minutes, you have enough time for it. You can have all of them, to have them ready, not always to present them or even send them by email, because people want to understand quite fast, 5, 6, 7 slides to understand what it's all about. Another place I saw 15 must-have slides. So 2 from Alejandro are already down here, and some of them are different. And again, it's not that I'm saying that they are not true and they're not nice to have, but be very, very productive with the slides you have, and in general with all the messaging. When whatever goes on a slide must have a very good reason to be there and needs to be very clear for the people who see it when you speak about it and even when you don't. So after, I slayed a lot of myths and I said what not to do or what I don't agree, let me show you what, in my opinion, should be included in a business presentation. And again, some of the things I'm saying might be myths. So always, always consider what's the right thing for your venture, for your startups, the ones you are working with, and for the investors we want to connect them.
Tak, to wiesz co, to będę u ciebie za...
So I'll just say thank you, Kobe. I say that any venture should really focus on these 4 points. They must have a business plan. The presentation should include the most important topics. They need to have different materials for different needs. And I always say, take with you experts. They'll make the way so much easier and shorter. What is a business plan in general? People that think that business plan is something that's for startups, but really a business plan is something that any business, small or large, corporate, or even a one-man business need to have. And it's really giving answers to some WH questions. And, I just wrote an article a few days ago that there are about 8 WH questions that we should really address. So let's see some of them. Always start with why. I mean, it's not just Simon Sinek who says this. The why is the motivation. Why I decided to start my business. Why I started to wake up in the morning and do what I'm doing. And again, I'm talking in general about the business plan. What is the product? What is the service? What am I offering to my potential clients? And then whom? Who are my potential clients? Who is going to benefit from the things I do, the product I'm selling, the service I'm offering? Very important place is when and where. When am I going to supply? What are my opening hours if I'm a shop? And I'm taking it to a regular business on purpose. Where is it going to be? Am I going to be in an office, a store, a warehouse? Where is it going to happen? And then how all these questions are going to combine together. And then obviously we know the needs. How am I going to make everything happen? And what do I need to have it in order to do it? So basically, if you think about it, that is a business plan. It can be as excessive as 50 pages, where everything goes into the finest detail. And it can just be on a napkin or on one page. But still, when we start any business, we need to know the answers to all those questions. And we need to know what we need in order to make it happen. Now, let's see how it influences a startup or a business presentation. Because now are the most important topics that I think any presentation should have. So the why is really our problem. What is the problem we identified? What problem are we going to solve with our venture? I can't stress enough how important it is to address it correctly, because once you analyze the problem correctly, it is much easier to present and show how the solution is going to work to exactly specify the problem. Kobe, you remember when we had this startup, when we couldn't understand what they were doing because the problem didn't match the solution, and we were all confused about what are they really offering.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, and then we have the solution. The solution is basically what we want to show. This is our stellar venture. And again, we need to be very precise about what exactly it's doing, not just around. If we have more than one idea, then we need to show how these 3 ideas work for the problem. The whom is, again, the end user or a client, but also the team. We said that for investors, the team is very important. And again, I do like what Kobe says. When it is a team, not always the CEO should be the presenter. Many times it's somebody else who speaks better, who is more, who knows how to connect with people, maybe not a high D, maybe an I, maybe an S, somebody that knows how to listen also or read a room. That's very important. And the why now, the opportunity is also part of all these first three subjects. The when and where, when it comes to startups, are really the status of the startup. Where are we going? Where are we standing? What has been done? What are we going to do? What needs to be done? And market potential, market potential, market potential. This is one of the main issues when we see so many mistakes, because when we say, I give an example about, let's say, a soda can, but it's a green one. And it's self-containing and it's beautiful for the planet, and everybody now looks for solutions, for eco-friendly solutions. And people will state, the drinking market of the world, it's so-and-so gazillion dollars. Yeah, but the cans market, the soda cans, is not the whole drinking market, because we have so many other drinking products. So we need to address the soda cans. And more than that, how many people really care and are willing to pay more money for an eco-friendly can? So yeah, we have the TAM, SAM, SOM. Maybe we can do, Kobe, maybe one day we'll do something about it later on. The how, here we have 2 things. So business model and go-to-market. These are 2 things that, again, so many startups fail here. You can have a great idea, but if you can't show the investors how you're going to make money, how you're going to commercialize, how you're going to scale it up, a business model is the heart. And sometimes if you have a good business model, you might even change a little bit the solution to fit the right business model. The go-to-market, how you're going to get your clients. Are you going to use agents? When it's an IP, we said before about IP, are you going to sell royalties? Are you going to create a product? Are you going to sell the final product, just the royalties? You need to know, even if you don't have yet a marketing plan and you don't have a marketing, I'm going to have a website and digital marketing and agents, but at least to know how you're going to get your market or the different ways to do that. When it comes to needs, here we have a few WH questions and few which are not. How much money? Wow, how many times we see investor decks that don't say how much I want to raise. So how can we know if an investor is good for you if you don't know how much money you want to raise? And that's also, it goes back to where what type of investors we need. There are a lot of investors that want to invest only $1 million and higher. Other investors that just want to invest up to $300K. So how much is very important. Don't waste the investor's time with coming and pitching to a venture capital and they say, oh yes, I just need $150,000. Or like, I think, Kobe, we tried to get 1 million more.
Yes.
And we saw, again, a startup that comes with 250,000. So again, he might be right, and maybe we can even assist him, but this is not our main goal. So it would be so nice if we could get in advance knowing how much money they want to raise, so we don't waste investors' time, and maybe they can address you later. Oh, we don't deal with this, but we know some other investors who are interested in this type of investment. What
Jude,
for? Yeah?
Jude, I just wanted to interrupt in this point because it's very important, this crucial point, let's say, is that some of the times when the startups say how much money they want to raise, they don't take into consideration the financial projection for 5 years. They say I would like to raise 300,000, but the investor want to see the perspective of 5 years in order to see if he can get his return during this time. And most of the time, the startup's looking about what he need in order to develop the product, but not in a wide perspective, how he can take the company to the next level. And in this point, he loses the opportunity to engage the investor to his venture.
Yeah, exactly. So these are the next 3 points. That's a good point, very good point. You see, what for? So also when they want to know how much they want to raise, how they're going to use the investment. A lot of time they say, how much do you want to invest? I want to invest $1.5 million. Why? Oh, I heard that at this stage I can ask for it. So what? What are you going to do with it? A roadmap. If I'm collecting now, I'm seeking for a $1.5 million investment. Nobody gives you $1.5 million. Take it now and come back to me sometime when you're ready. No, we need to show for each stage what we need now. Like you say, Kobe, 5 years. For the first year, for the research and development, we might need $300,000, but for later on to create a prototype, we need another 500,000, and then we need some more, but we need to have a roadmap to know how much, what for, and how we are going to spread this investment, what we need it for. Also, it's good to know the burn rate. How much money I need really now, and when am I going to have some income, and when am I going to be able maybe to get some more funding? And all these 4 questions, they are very important, and I think that investors will take into consideration much more seriously when you have all this map, all these questions answered, because that's what makes it possible for them to get a reply, even, I might be interested, let's meet again. If you don't have all of them, you just wasted their time. They don't understand. They need to schedule another meeting and go ahead. Yeah, we are helping our startups at GVI to reach that level, but this is the level we want them to reach when it's an investor pitch deck or investor presentation. Another topic that I need to address, and I'm almost at the end of it, so I'm not going to take too long, is what is the purpose of the next encounter? So when we just want to obtain a meeting, if somebody asks me to contact Kobe and see if he's interested, what I'll ask usually is either a one-pager that summarizes most of the things we spoke before. They should all of them be within just a few bullet points maybe, but we need to see them as well. Well, maybe not the 5-year projection, but at least the amount, a little bit about the team, the problem, the solution, and also something that I told you that I'm a part of a presentation guild. We have some sort of a debate if this type of presentation should be slide docs or docu-slides, which means that this is, let's say, an 8-10 page PDF, usually created as a document, as a presentation, but needs to summarize in a visual way all those questions we asked before, maybe even have 10 slides, and each slide should address one point. Very, I say, be very frugal with the amount of words you're going to write, but to make it very clear and be able to send it as a PDF file. Another little thing I want to say, and that's again, a lot of startups, they tell me, go to the cloud and here's a clean, go and download. No, 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 please, make my life easy. Send me the PDF, don't send me to a cloud service to start looking for what I want. If I asked for a one-pager, send me the one-pager. Again, it might be the slide doc or the one-pager, but don't send me to a cloud. I do have the password. I don't. I forgot. I don't. Be very, very kind to your investors and your advisors, and give them the material they need. When it's during a presentation or a meeting, like we said, 7 minutes, remember, you are the presentation. What's behind you should be the points, should be the little things that make make it for the investors easier to understand the concept. Maybe show them some sort of a process, maybe the roadmap, maybe, but don't start reading a presentation. It's not a teleprompter. Don't read the slides. Have the slides and talk to people face to face. After the meeting, again, many people will not remember. I think that Noah spoke about it earlier, how much people will retain from the meeting. What are they going to remember about your pitch? A good follow-up would be after the meeting to send them something, either a handout that concludes the presentations with some personal words maybe, or at least the same presentational slide doc that we discussed before. I'm not saying if you already sent it in the beginning, but if you only pitched, then always have something to send, even if they're not asking for it, because it will make it much easier for them to realize how interested they are. The last thing I usually say to startups, and it's not for us GVI people here, but I always say to startups I'm working with that always take the experts, whether it's a mentor, whether it's a specific investor to help you answer one of the WH question. It's an investment, it's not an expense. And this is something they don't always realize. They try to do everything on their own, and they lose a lot of potential investors and a lot of time because they are not doing it right. So sometimes it's better to spend some money and take an expert to do it. I always like to finish that experts know which myths are just myths. So thank you very much for listening. And I would also love to connect on LinkedIn with those who are not. And again, you can scan this. You can just take out the phones and scan the QR code. It will take you directly to my LinkedIn profile. And if not, just look for Jude Barak. And thank you very much.